With all due respect, that's a bunch of malarkey. This is a bunch of stuff, deal.
What does that mean, a bunch of stuff?
Well, it means it's simply inaccurate.
It's Irish.
Exactly, it is. We Irish call it malarkey.
Thanks for the translation.
No, we Irish call it malarkey.
You know what this is? Yeah, and I reserve this word for those rare instances when it's truly deserved. This is malarkey.
That's a bunch of malarkey.
From the King Spring Studios here in Smyrna, Georgia, this is A Bunch of Malarkey. I'm your host, Charlie McMahon. Thank you so much for joining us on this, I guess you could say, January finale of the show. Can you believe it? Last show of January, February around the corner. A lot going on here in Metro Atlanta. Super Bowl. Am I allowed to say Super Bowl? I know it's trademarked. The big game. The big game is coming to town in just a week. And all I can say, folks, it's going to be chaos because we're going to have hundreds of thousands of people coming in from out of town. Thank God this government shutdown has been temporarily stopped because it would have added to the chaos. But I say chaos because now they're calling for snow, the dreaded four-letter word here in the South, snow, where everything shuts down. And I know you folks up north where I'm from laugh and say, oh, an inch of snow, the whole place shuts down. It's because we don't have the equipment, folks. It's not because we're stupid down here. Just like when it gets over 90 degrees up in New York and Boston, everything shuts down. Schools closed. You have people taking pictures of their car thermometers inside saying how hot it is. It's 90 degrees, over 90 degrees from April to October here, folks. So it works both ways. So I think if the snow does hit on Tuesday, it's definitely going to screw up some people's plans that are coming into town. And it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess, hopefully. And the thing here, I think in Atlanta itself, it won't be as bad as the suburbs, folks. It snows here in the suburbs of Atlanta, and we basically have to sit tight until it melts. And they're saying Arctic air coming in behind it. So hopefully they're going to be wrong because really you don't want to be stranded for 2-3 days with nothing to do. And, you know, it's one thing. I don't like to leave as it is, but when you're told you can't leave the house, that's when you want to leave the house. So we're hoping that the snow passes us by, that dreaded four-letter word here in the South, and that we, just get some rain, or it just misses us altogether and we just get some cold weather. So I can definitely deal with the cold. I can't deal with everything coming to a standstill. So, again, we have the Super Bowl coming here in a week. So there's going to be a lot of out-of-towners here coming for the big game and all the festivities leading up to it. A lot of media outlets from all over the country coming to do their sports and talk, radio, row, all their shows coming in. So it's going to be quite hectic here over the next week. Next Sunday is Super Bowl Sunday, so next week or so. And then people departing the city the day after or the next 2 days. But Atlanta is a fun city. I will say there's lots to do here. I think they did a great job getting ready for the Super Bowl. So we shall see. So we're coming off another weekend, last weekend of January, if you can believe it. Not too eventful. I mean, have you noticed a trend when you go out to restaurants now, folks? It's very different from when you used to go out to eat years ago. And that would be the noise levels in the restaurants. Now, I was out to dinner with my wife on Saturday night, and we noticed that it's much louder in the restaurants. And I looked it up, and it's for many reasons. It's because a lot of these restaurants now have open kitchens where you're getting all the noise from the kitchen. They're marble counters, they're bare walls, they're brick walls. There's no table dressings in a lot of these restaurants. There's nothing to absorb the sound. In a lot of these restaurants, there's TVs on the walls. And I read a study that the average restaurant now is 90-plus decibels of sound, which is equivalent to a lawnmower. Now, I understand, folks, you want to buzz when you go to a restaurant. You don't want it to be like a funeral home. But I think it's getting out of hand. And I know my father-in-law had mentioned a couple of times that it's loud when you go to these restaurants. And I started thinking about it, and it really is. You got these metal ceilings. It's all about the look of the restaurant now. It's not about, and maybe it's a ploy, because the louder it is, the more frustrated you get, and you want to get out of there, and they could turn the tables over quicker. I don't know if it's a strategy or not, but I don't know. I noticed that when we went to dinner on Saturday night. It's just hard to have a conversation with one person, let alone if you're there with 2 or 3 or 4 people, a little group. But I did notice that when we went out to dinner on Saturday night. What are your thoughts on that? What do you think is causing all the extra noise? You think it's all the TVs and all the nonsense that's going on in the restaurants? Or you think people are just louder now? People lost their manners and they don't act as appropriately as they did years ago. So your thoughts on that? What you think the reason why we are making noise levels as loud as lawnmowers when we go to restaurants. So let's get right into it, folks. Our favorite segment, and you know what that is.
Mutant of the Week.
We had a pretty decisive win last week and another great voter turnout. If you don't know where to vote, folks, because there's a lot of new listeners, we hit the 2,000 listener download for 1 week mark, which is crazy. We were doing 1,100, 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, 1,600, 1,800. Now we're over 2,000 listens a week, which is incredible, so thank you. So if you don't know where, if you're a new listener, you don't know where to vote for our Mutant of the Week, it's on our Facebook page. Just go into your little search bar and type in a bunch of malarkey, and you'll see our little emblem come up. That's the little pot of rainbow with the pot of shit emojis, and it says a bunch of malarkey. You'll click on that, like the page, and you'll be able to vote. Polls come out on Tuesday and on Saturday. So in a very, very decisive win, our diaper sniper, 77% of the vote to our Pringles can connoisseur, the woman who drank the wine out of the Pringles can, only 23%. Now, I thought it would be a pretty split. I thought it would be, 55-45, 60-40, because this can connoisseur made national news, but people went with the diaper sniper. Did I influence your vote with my fruit sniper story, or maybe you just got tired of hearing of the Pringles can lady, or maybe you just thought that the diaper sniper was a much bigger offense? Either way, 77-23, which is a decisive win, and which leads us to this week's nominees. Now, we got a couple of good ones. Now, I don't know how this one's going to go either, because I think it's pretty evenly matched. Let's go with our mutant nominee number one. He's a 34-year-old man who thought his wife had damaged his action figure collection, so he retaliated by taking an axe to the family's car, TV, and laptop, and was arrested. The man, whose name has not been released, used a log-splitting axe to destroy the items inside his Wisconsin home on Sunday night of last week, when his wife wasn't home. He then moved outside, chopping both mirrors off the family car and striking the windshield with such force that the axe became stuck in the windshield, police said. When the officers arrived, they found the axe embedded in the windshield of the car, said Madison Police Chief Mike Koval. The husband then called to report himself, according to the police chief. The suspect called 911 himself because of his actions in response to drinking too much and then overreacting when he thought his wife had damaged some of his prized action figures, he said. He was arrested and faces charges of disorderly conduct and felony damage to property. Police say he caused more than $5,000 in damages. Now, I joke a lot on here about my wife with this minimalist stuff, getting rid of stuff, and she doesn't really touch valuable stuff of mine, I have to say. I have collections of some things. I have some sports figurines, some sports memorabilia, baseball cards from when I was a kid. She doesn't really get. Now, if she destroyed my stuff, I don't know that I would take my frustrations out on the family vehicle or the laptop or anything with an axe. I don't know. I don't know. I'm pretty certain I wouldn't do that. I don't know how I'd get even, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't axe up the family car or the laptop or the television set, because you're only destroying more property that you're going to have to replace. So that is our first mutant nominee, and I guess we'll call him the action figure Axhole. So action figure Axhole is our first mutant nominee of the week. And our second one comes from, where else, folks? Pensacola, Florida. Florida again. They've arrested a 38-year-old woman after they said she was dancing naked in a Waffle House parking lot and acting disorderly. According to WEAR-TV, Freedom Rider Zobrist, that's her name, folks, Freedom Rider Zobrist, had taken off her pants, exposed herself, and blocked traffic last Monday in the parking lot of the Waffle House. Police said Zobrist continued to cause problems, prompting an employee to call police. Zobrist eventually fled the parking lot, leaving her belongings behind. The employee then took her belongings and placed them behind the Waffle House restaurant. Later that day, Zobrist returned to the Waffle House and sat behind the building. The employee found her and told her she had to leave. However, Zobrist allegedly started cursing and threatening him, saying she would shoot him in the face, shoot all the employees and everyone else inside. After that, the incident report claims she allegedly attempted to grab the man's genitals, but when he tried to stop her, she kicked him in the face twice, police said. Zobrist was arrested and charged with lewd and indecent exposure of sexual organs, disorderly conduct, assault, and battery. So we got the action figure Axhole, and who is she? The Waffle House Hoochie, I guess we could call her. So it's a pretty big heavyweight match this week, folks. I don't know who you're going to go with, but the poll will be up on Tuesday, so you can vote for the Axeman or the dancing naked Waffle House Hoochie or the Axhole. So that is your choice. Now, on an unrelated note, not one of the nominees, but another story out of Florida, which is going to segue perfectly into our main topic today. In Ocala, Florida, a Taco Bell had to be evacuated on Saturday after a man who was magnet fishing in the area found a World War II era grenade and brought it into the restaurant and then called authorities. The man found the grenade while fishing, put it in his trunk, and drove to the Taco Bell, Ocala police said. The bomb squad confirmed it was an authentic World War II grenade. They removed the explosive and planned to properly dispose of it. The Taco Bell had reopened. Now, folks, that's not the first grenade or bomb I'm sure somebody's left at a Taco Bell, if you know what I mean. I'm sure people are dropping bombs in those toilets all day after eating that food. Which brings us to our topic of the day, and which is trivial tales from the toilet. Now, these are, it's already well documented, the Ass Below a Story, which was our second episode, and the toilet plumes and all the crazy stuff that happens in bathrooms and things of that nature, folks. So we're not going to get into Mary Ann's ass and the hand blower again, or toilet plumes or the germs, but we're going to talk about disgusting things in public restrooms, and even when you go to people's houses, awkwardness, using the bathroom outside of your own home, and things of that nature. So what brought this topic on? My wife and I last Tuesday, went up to the North Georgia mountains for the day. We went up there to look at something, and on the way home, we needed to fuel up, and we both needed to use the restroom. So I went into the men's room. Now, as you know, folks, I have a phobia of public restrooms. I don't like urinals. I go in the stalls. So I go in the stall, and I hear a guy in the stall next to me. He was groaning like he was giving birth in there, like he was passing a child or a basketball out of his ass. So it just made me think of all the things over the years that disgust me about public restrooms and about the things I've seen and places I've worked and all that. And I'm sure you've been in these situations. Like, as a man, there's like a pressure, especially at a ball game or something. You're at a game, it's crowded, people are waiting to use the urinals. Now, I know the men's room moves a lot faster than the women's room because men just pee in a line and go on their way. Women's room, it takes a lot longer to get into the stall and whatnot. But for men, folks, at least when you go in the stall, ladies, you're in your own little private. I'm sure you've had incidents where kids come and they peek under. It's not the most private thing. Don't get me wrong, but you're not standing in a wide open space. You feel like the Jeopardy, when the final Jeopardy song comes on, that do-do-do-do, do-do-do. That's how you feel when you're peeing in the urinal in a crowded place when people are waiting. It's like a pressure that I can't describe. Maybe some people don't care, but I feel like a pressure when a guy is standing like 3 feet behind me waiting to use the urinal, and I don't know, I just feel like a pressure. So maybe it's my own personal issue, folks, but I hate going in a public restroom, especially at a crowded place. Now, even these elegant restrooms, I was a DJ for 10, 11 years, was at a lot of formal places, and the bathrooms are a lot cleaner and more private, but I still really don't like them. And I've gone to these weddings and places where there's a bathroom attendant. Now, what do you need a bathroom attendant for? I've always wondered that. I saw someone posted on Facebook, I don't know, I guess 2-3 weeks ago, Why do you need someone handing you a piece of paper towel and a mint after you take a piss? You have to wonder. They just look out of place. Sometimes I can't tell if he's really supposed to be there or if he has some sick fetish and he's hanging around a men's room. I don't want to be on some dude's webcam because he has a sick fetish, all because I had to pee at a fancy restaurant or a fancy thing. I just want to pee without a fee. Then you gotta feel like you gotta tip this guy for handing you a piece of paper towel and a mint. Like, what do I need a mint after I pee? I don't know. I just always thought that the bathroom attendant was very strange. So you go to these fancy restaurants and you got to tip the guy. And who's carrying cash anymore? You're carrying debit and credit, and you feel awkward then if you don't have the money to tip this guy. You can't even take a piss without having to tip someone. So I've always wondered that about the bathroom attendant. What experiences have you had with a bathroom attendant? Have you ever felt awkward in there? Even ladies with a female bathroom attendant, like, is there a reason? Is there a need for it? Even if it's the fanciest place on earth, do you really need someone in there handing you something to dry your hands? You can't do that yourself. Do you need a mint after you pee? I don't know. I've always had a problem with it. Now there's these people who, it's been since the beginning of time, folks, who spend more time than they really need to in the bathroom. When they're doing number two. Years ago it was magazines and books. You would go to some people's houses and you was actual magazine racks in the bathroom. Now, why would you want to spend more time in the bathroom than you have to? I've gone to even offices that I worked at where there was multiple stall bathrooms, and you find that people bring newspapers in there, Time magazine, and they're sitting in there for 40 minutes taking a crap, reading. Now, I know people don't do that as much anymore, but they're bringing their phones into the toilets now. And I read a study, I don't know, a few months back, that the dirtiest surface around nowadays are people's phones because they're bringing them in the toilets and they're scrolling while they're taking a crap. They're touching them after they take a crap, and then they're washing their hands, and they're actually dirtier. Your touch screen, if you're not sanitizing it every day, is actually dirtier than the surface of a toilet seat. So let that sink in, folks. Now your friends come over and they're scrolling. Look at the pictures of my kid, and they're having you hold their phone after they just had that phone in the bathroom, or they're putting it on the dinner table. It's disgusting. Get the sanitary wipes and wipe them down. Every day you got to wipe your phone down. They sell them. Go on to Amazon, buy yourself these sterile wipes and wipe your phone down, especially if you're taking a crap with it. So I never understood the whole magazines, the papers. Just go. Wouldn't you rather read on your couch in a sanitary environment than sitting in a toilet stall or in your own bath, even in your own bathroom at home? You want to get in, you want to get out. I never understood the long periods of time people take in the bathroom. Just go and get it over with. I even read an article, this is a true story, and this can happen, that part of a man's colon fell out of his rectum because he was relaxed and reading so long. Then this could happen, folks. I actually researched and go, this has to be like an Onion article, but this actually happened to a guy, and he had to have surgery. If you relax too long on a toilet like that, part of your insides can come out through your rectum. So limit your time in the toilet is all I'm saying, folks. You don't need to play Words with Friends or text or chat. I even hear people, back when I worked in the offices, talking to people while they're in the toilet, make all kinds of bodily sounds coming out of them, and they're talking to their mom or their wife it's disgusting. Just go in, do your business, and get the hell out of there. So, and I've even seen, especially when I worked at offices, because I'll go in the stall, I'll pee, and I'll come out, I'll wash my hands, and I hope that there's paper towel and not the hand blower, because my feelings on the hand blower. And I like the paper towel because I can dry my hand and then open the door with the paper towel, because the garbage pail is usually right near the door, and I can leave. And I used to notice people's coffee cups in the garbage can, empty Cheeto bags, cookie wrappers. Who's sitting on the toilet in there eating Cheetos, eating chocolate chip cookies, drinking coffee, soda cans? I always wondered that. Who's in there having a meal or having a snack? It's just, I saw a Twix bar in there one time, a Twix wrapper. I'd be really disturbed if I saw a pizza box or a McDonald's bag. That's a whole meal. But who's in there even bringing their coffee into? I won't even bring I won't even bring food or drink into my bathroom at home, where I know it's cleaner, much cleaner than a public restroom. But there's still germs in there. So this is what you're up against, folks, at these offices, at these public restrooms. It's just, people are gross. Now, work restrooms is a very interesting because you have different types of work restrooms depending on the company you work for. If you work at a big company, you have these giant restrooms with all these stalls in it and urinals. But there are a lot of small businesses that have these single occupancy bathrooms. Now, I think the single occupancy is much worse than the, where you can get multiple people in at the same time with stalls and urinals. And I'll tell you why, because even if you're just going to pee in the single occupancy, more times than not, especially if there's a lot of people working there, you'll be in the middle of peeing and somebody's knocking on the door. Now you have to give the standard occupied or someone's in here, and then you feel pressured to finish and get in. Now I can't even imagine. Now I'm going to say this. I know it's personal. I only do number 2 at home. I have to be on my deathbed sick to go number 2 anywhere but my own house. I mean, I have to be on my deathbed. But you have these people at work that just sit in there, and if it's a single occupancy, you're just leisurely taking a crap, scrolling through your phone. Now, people want to go use the restroom. Don't you feel pressured? When the door's being knocked on and people have to go to the bathroom, and you're sitting there, and then, obviously, it's going to smell in there if it's a small single occupancy. Aren't you embarrassed when you come out and the bathroom stinks? Now, you could, a lot of these companies leave spray, but then your shit smells like lavender scented shit because it's not covering it up. It's just combining the smells. So I just think it's very, to me, going number 2 is very personal. I only want to do it at home. Again, there's going to be times where an emergency arises and you just have to. But when I would have to go to an office every day, I'd make sure I went if I had to go before I left because I wasn't doing that at work. Again, unless I got food poisoning or sick or there's something well be out of my control. Now, I worked for this technology company that the placement of the bathroom was just wrong. It was right in the middle of the office, the poor accounting guy. He literally sat 5 feet from this door. So the shit he must have heard and smelled, literally heard shit and smelled from his desk. This guy could probably write a book like I wrote about the parking lot about the things he saw, smelled, and heard from that bathroom. Now, you have all the cubicles around and this guy accounting office, and they put the bathroom there. And it's it just makes the least sense. It should be in an isolated off the warehouse or something where nobody can hear you. But you stick the bathrooms right outside the accounting guy's desk where all the cubicles are. Now, you're going to go in there and make noises and smells. And I'm telling you. I used to, when I worked for that pharmaceutical company, that crazy guy, Kevin, I told you about, the one who used to say carved out of cream cheese, he ran the warehouse, which was in another building on the grounds. And he had 2 bathrooms in that warehouse, and he was the only guy that worked in the warehouse. So he used the men's room, and there was a women's room in the warehouse that nobody ever used. And when I would feel sick, maybe 5 times I did this in the couple of years I worked there, I would call him up and say, Kevin, I need to drive my car around and use one of the bathrooms over there. Yeah, come on over, Charlie, no problem. I used to literally get my car and drive to the warehouse before I would use a bathroom within an earshot or a nose shot of somebody in the office. I'm just not going to do it. So I used to get in my car and drive the 3 minutes to the warehouse when I was sick or I didn't feel good. And there was one time where I got food poisoning at lunch. True story. I went to a Mexican restaurant. And it was at this technology company where the bathrooms were right outside the accounting guy's desk and cubicles. And I was so sick after lunch, sweats and chills, and I knew that there was going to be a problem. So I just told him I had to go home. And, of course, whenever you're sick and you have to do that, when you have a bad condition where you have food poisoning and you're going to have to go, you always hit these roadblocks, like construction or an accident in a traffic jam, and you're clenching your cheek so tight that you could put a piece of wood in there and drill it or forge metal and just bang on it with a hammer and it would hold it in place just like a vice. That's how you're clenching your ass, hoping you make it all the way home. So that day it was a nightmare. I think I hit road construction that day, and I just got the hell out of there because I said there's no way I'm going in that bathroom, that single occupancy bathroom, 5 feet from the accounting guy with all the women in the office 10 feet away on the other side. It's just not going to happen. So I just went home. So, so then, you go from public to private. So now I always talked about this, and it was always a fun topic. Now, I'm married now for going on 10 years, and I still am weird about things like that. Like, I won't go in the downstairs bathroom if we're downstairs watching TV. I'll come up and get away from it all because, just as a courtesy, get away, go to the furthest bathroom from where we're hanging out. Just, certain things are private, okay? Even when you're married 10 years, I'm weird, okay? But when you're first dating someone, folks, like, when is it okay to just go to the bathroom at their house or their apartment? Or, the first girl I ever dated long term, I guess we were together for a year. We ended up being together 3 or 4 years. And during the summer, her parents had a bungalow up in the Catskill Mountains in New York State. And they used to let us use the bungalow for like a week when they weren't there. So we would go up. And it was a small little bungalow, a little kitchen, a little living room area, a bedroom, and a little bathroom. And it had nice grounds and a pool and all the amenities up there that you could, for activities and stuff. But, this was like the first girlfriend I had, and I'm still awkward about it around my wife after 10 years. But when I knew, I would either be constipated the whole time we were there because I would mentally make myself not go. Or if I really had to go, I would tell her, oh, can you take a walk, And she'd be looking at me. I'm like, oh, just go take a walk. I wanted her out of the goddamn bungalow because I didn't want that, I didn't want that awkwardness where she was, 2 feet away. Even though she was a girlfriend, it was odd. It was weird. It was new. Still, even to this day, like I said, 10 years married, and I don't want to be going to the bathroom 5 feet away from my wife. We have plenty of room in the house, plenty of bathrooms. I try to remove myself from the immediate area and do what I have to do. So there's also a great story, and this goes back, 14 years ago. I was dating another girl for, we must have went on, I'm going to guess 6 dates, 7 dates, 8 dates. And we went out for dinner near her apartment or condo or townhouse, whatever it was. And when we were out at this Italian restaurant, I knew the mozzarella, the fresh mozzarella didn't taste right, but I'm saying maybe they seasoned it with something. I knew it was off, but like an idiot, I ate it anyway. Okay, so this was about 7 o'clock at night. So then we go back to her place, and up to this point, nothing has happened between us, in an intimate setting or anything like that. So it was a Saturday night, and I assume now that, after, 6, 8 dates, that maybe something was going to transpire, intimately. Maybe not everything, but something was going to transpire. So, I guess about 10 o'clock that night, we're watching a movie on the couch, and I feel my stomach like someone took a knife and jabbed me in the stomach with a knife, like I'm going to die. Now, she had a small, townhouse, a living room. It wasn't small, but it was, it wasn't a giant house. It was a living room, as I remember it, a little dining area, a kitchen, a bedroom, and then right off the bedroom and pretty much right off the living room was this bathroom. It was a decent-sized bathroom, but it was strategically halfway between the bedroom and the living room. So I go in there, and I'm like, maybe it's gas. Maybe I'll just go in there. I'll have gas, and I can come out, refreshed, like Rocky, ready to go, and I'll be fine. So it was just, I was in there, and you get to a point, folks, where you could tell it's not gassed. I knew there was going to be, no way I was going to use that bathroom there. I didn't know that well yet. I wasn't at that comfort level, I should say, yet. And it was just too close proximity. So I mentally got myself out of the bathroom, and I went back and tried to cover up the fact that I was in pain. And then she said, let's go inside her room, and we'll finish the movie and hang out. And now the bedroom is right next to the bathroom, too. So I laid down, and the pain came on 100 times stronger. So I went back in the bathroom again. So now she must be wondering, what does she keep going in the bathroom? And I just had a dilemma. I was like, this isn't – it was like somebody was hammering me in the stomach with like a I don't know, like a jackhammer or something. So it just wasn't a buffer zone big enough that I was comfortable with, folks. It was, 10 feet from the bedroom, 10 feet from the thing. And I'm strange to this day, not to get too personal, but after I go to the bathroom that way, I need to take a shower. Just mentally, I need to feel clean. So there was no way I was going there and there's no way. And to this day, people say, well, why? If you'll wipe yourself and the paper's clean, you're clean. No, you're not, because let me give it to you straight, folks. If you're walking down the street and a bird flies over you, right, and takes a crap on the top of your hand or your arm, and you have like a piece of paper towel or a tissue, and you wipe the bird crap off your arm or hand, right? Your arm and hand looks clean, right? But it's not. You just wiped it off. You would still go back to wherever you're going and wash your hands thoroughly or your arm or whatever. It's the same thing there. That's how I always equated it. Like, it's clean, but it's not. It's only so clean. So whether that be baby wipes or I want to take a shower. So that's another reason I don't go outside my house, because afterwards I need to take a shower. So this is all going down, and I'm like, how do I get out of this? I knew I was going to have to head home. I explained to her then. I finally just said, I'm going to go home. I'm not going to explain to her I'm going to blow up your bathroom. It wasn't, again, not that comfort level. And she looked at me like she was like a deer in the headlights. Like maybe I wasn't interested in her. I just said a quick goodbye. This was the dead of winter, folks. I grabbed my stuff, hat, gloves, winter in New York, threw everything on, and ran out to my car. And now it was a half-hour ride to my house. I'm telling you, I broke every land speed record on earth that night getting home to my apartment. I broke Chuck Yeager's land speed record. There must have been fire coming out of the back of my, my car and my ass. And I remember getting home and running up the stairs, and I was actually like in the bathroom with my gloves, winter coat, hat, everything on. I just ran. And it was just, after that, I don't know if we ever, we still stayed in touch, but I don't think it was ever. After that, it never got back on track. I think maybe she thought that I wasn't interested or whatever. But what would you have done in that situation? Have you ever been in a situation where you were dating someone short term or just gotten to know someone and you had an emergency like that come up? And what would you do? Would you just say, I don't care? I mean, eventually, if I'm going to be with this person, they're going to have to, get to the point where they're going to have to, be comfortable with each other? Or would you have run out of there like I did? Or even today, folks, if you're married, are you still kind of like certain things are private? Or if you've been dating someone a long time, do you say, all right, we've known each other long enough, it doesn't bother me? Or do you still like expect a certain amount of privacy in your house or apartment or townhome or wherever, whatever type of layout you have at home? So I'm going to ask that on the Facebook page, and I would like to know. Now, what's even worse is when you go to like a party at someone's house. You go to someone's house for a party, and the party's in full swing. And have you ever been to a home where there was no lock on the door? Like, seriously, no lock on the bathroom door. I've been to a couple of houses where I've gone to a party and I've gone in the bathroom and no lock on the door. Now, do you walk out and ask for another bathroom? What do you do? So for me, it depended on how far the toilet was from the door. If the toilet's right near the door, you could put your foot, a man can because he's standing, put his foot like against the door and still pee in the toilet. But if you're a woman and you have to sit, there's no way you're stretching your leg and holding the door. It's just very odd that people don't have locks. To me, you get your foundation, you get your walls put up, you put a roof on the place, and the next priority should be a lock on the bathroom door. Don't you agree? I mean, if you never have company and it's just one person living alone and you never have anybody over your house, you're like a serial killer and nobody can come to your house, don't put a lock on the bathroom door. But if you're going to have a party, folks, that's like the first thing you have to have. I even went to in a hospital bathroom one time. I think my mother was having gallbladder surgery. This is going back a long time ago, 15, 20 years ago. And I remember being in the room visiting her, and then I went out in the hallway and looked for a restroom. And the nurse's station directed me. And it was a co-ed bathroom, single occupancy, and no lock on the door. I don't know if they're afraid, like, a patient was going to go in there and fall and they won't be able to get in there. But I was like, look it up on YouTube or on images, folks. Bob Watson was a first baseman. He played for the Astros and the Yankees. He had this long stretch with his leg where he kept his foot on the base and he stretched his other leg and arm all the way out, like halfway to the pitcher's mound. I was in like this Bob Watson stretch trying to reach the toilet to pee at this hospital bathroom. How do you not have a lock on the door at a house or at a public, especially a public place where it's co-ed? A men's room, somebody walks in, a man walks in on a man, a woman walks in the morning, woman awkward, but when it's co-ed, you're going to have a man walk in on a woman or vice versa? Very odd. that actually happened to me because I used the stall a lot to pee, and you would look under, like if I had to use the restroom at work and there was multiple stalls, you don't just barge in. You look under to see if you see feet. And one day I just walked in, and I told you about this guy. He used to clip his toenails on the desk. I told you a couple weeks ago at Forest Laboratories at the pharmaceutical company where I worked. So I look under, and I don't see any feet, and the door is not locked to the stall. So I pushed the door open, and there's like this little Asian guy, and he was sitting on the toilet with his feet on the seat, like in a squatting position, crapping. And I opened up the door. My face turned white as a ghost. He made eye contact with me, and I made eye contact with him. And I said, "Oh, my God, I'm sorry." And I pulled the door, and I ran. And I went out, and my good friend, he looked at me. He goes, "What's the matter?" I go, "You're not going to believe what I just saw in there." And I told him what I saw. And that was like the joke forever that I saw this guy. Now, every time I saw this guy afterwards, I couldn't get that sight out of my head of him sitting. He was like, had his 2 feet on the toilet seat, and he was in like this weird squat, like his Buddha squat or something. I don't know. And he was just... I don't know. It was something that scarred me, and for the remaining year I think I worked there, I could never look at this guy. I would just avoid him at all costs. But when you go to someone's house, you have to basically conform to the way they have their bathroom set up. You ever go to someone's house and you just pee, right? And you don't know how the water levels are in their toilet. You're used to your toilets at home. You ever flush in someone's house and the water looks like it's going to overflow, and you didn't even crap or stuff it up or anything? You just peed? And you're like praying that water is not going to come over. But that's how like their toilet is. It fills up a lot more than yours does. Or you ever go, not that I go number 2, but what about when we have a party here, I make sure not only the bathrooms are clean and ready to go, but I stock the paper towel, the toilet paper in there. You ever go to someone's house and there's no toilet paper in there? And what do you do? What do you do when there's no toilet paper in someone's house? I had a story. There's a true story, too. See, that's the thing, I think, why we get a lot of listens on this podcast, folks, because everything I tell you is true. A lot of podcasters, I'm in a lot of these podcast groups, and they go, I need an idea for a topic. And if you need an idea for a topic, folks, then you shouldn't be doing a podcast, because you got to know, and I'd be truthful with you guys. And I've gotten a lot of comments about that. I'm truthful with you guys. I don't embellish anything or make shit up. And I think that's why I'm real. So this is a true story. I was, 17 years old. I think it was the summer of '88. And, I was living with my parents still. All 3 of us, my sister and brother, we were still living there. My grandmother, who was in a nursing home for a short time, we thought maybe we could bring her home. Maybe she was getting better, and we could. She had Alzheimer's, but we thought maybe being in her own environment might be better for her. So we brought her home. So my mother says to me, "You're going to have to give up your bedroom upstairs and move downstairs." My sister had like a large bedroom downstairs, and she says, "You're going to have to take the family room downstairs and make it your bedroom. We'll get you one of those room dividers, and, we don't know if it's going to be temporary or permanent, but that's what you have to do to get your grandmother to come home." I said, "Okay." So I moved downstairs, and there was a bathroom my sister and I shared down there, and it was like a late night, and my sister, I think she had gone out for the night. Whether she snuck out or really went out, it's a whole nother story. But I went in the restroom in the bathroom, and I didn't check to see if there was any toilet paper, and I had to go number 2. So I'm done. I look over, and there's no toilet paper. So now I say to myself, what am I going to do? I need toilet paper. So downstairs there was the main big room, which now was my bedroom. My sister's room was off the side, and I'm in the bathroom. And now I couldn't go upstairs, because if my grandmother would wake up any time in the middle of the night and rummage through closets, and she had Alzheimer's and she didn't know where she was sometimes. So I wasn't going to go upstairs and wake her up, and I wasn't going to walk upstairs with my pants around my ankles looking for toilet paper at 2 o'clock in the morning and wake the whole house up. So there was a door downstairs that went into the 2-car garage. So I said to myself, and there was a laundry room in there. And I said, my mom buys paper towel and stuff in bulk or toilet paper. Maybe she has some stored in the garage. So I'm walking now with my pants around my ankles into the garage at 2 o'clock in the morning, looking for something to wipe my ass with. Paper towel I would have taken, tissues, toilet paper, nothing, folks. I get to the laundry room, and I notice a box of Bounce fabric softener sheets. So I'm like, all right. People use baby wipes for their ass. I'm like, maybe I'll just I'm desperate now. I got to wipe my ass. So I take the box of Bounce fabric softener, and I shimmy back to the bathroom. I wipe my ass with the Bounce fabric softener sheets. Now, it actually felt, it was smooth. It was a smooth texture. You know how those are. They soften the clothes, and I wiped my ass good and flushed. They actually flushed, so I'm like, okay, I went to bed. I woke up the next morning. My ass crack was on fire. Like, I don't know, like somebody was lighting a match to it. The chemicals in that, in those fabric softener sheets must have had a bad reaction to my ass. Now, I went upstairs and my mom and dad are looking like, what the hell, what's wrong? And I had to explain to the family that my ass was irritated due to wiping it with Bounce fabric softener sheets. And that was a story my dad laughed over for years. Anytime holiday, remember the time you wiped your ass with Bounce fabric softener? So, desperate times call for desperate measures. So, folks, if you're hosting a party at your house, and your company's coming over, make sure there's plenty of toilet paper in there. Not that people should be going number 2 in your house anyway, but there are emergencies that arise, and people might have to go. So make sure you have toilet paper if you're having a party or you're having people over. What also annoys me, too, about when people come, not so much anymore, but when I had my own apartment, you ever go to someone's house, and I know it's an Italian thing, too. You would put out towels where people could dry their hands, like, on the sink, or there was a special towel bar right near the sink. Then, like, hanging on the shower doors was, like, decorative towels. They were clearly had a theme to the bathroom. Like, if you had a nautical theme to the bathroom, they had, like, lighthouses on them, or if they had a floral theme, they had, like, flowers on them. It was a theme to the bathroom, like, the color coordination and the towels, and you had your hand towels out for people who needed to wash their hands and dry them. But then you had your decorative towels. Now, people would come over and dry their hands on the decorative towels. I never understood that. You go in someone's bathroom, you can obviously see what the towel is. You ever go in someone's bathroom and there's no towel? Or it's their bath towel hanging on the back of the door? Folks, you're having company. You put out a hand towel. But don't use people's decorative towels. If there's a theme going in that bathroom, sailboats is the theme of the bathroom, you're not using the sailboat towel hanging over the shower door looking nice, all folded a certain way. You could tell the difference between a decorative towel and a theme in the bathroom and your basic hand towel that you're supposed to dry your hands with. So people used to come, and I used to bust people's balls that they use my decorative towels, or even these decorative soaps people put out. You got a pump soap there. you're going to use the pump. And then they have like little seashell soaps because their bathroom is like a coastal theme. And people go and they take the seahorse or the starfish, and they wash their hands with the decorative soaps. They're decorative, folks. They're not. Remember in Seinfeld, I used the guest soaps. You use the guest soaps, George said to Kramer. He says, "Well, I'm a guest," but they're not really guest soaps. They're decorative soaps. So I don't know. Stay off the decorative soaps and towels if you go into someone's house. But like I just left that job at the parking lot last year, and now I had no bathroom. I did have a bathroom. Well, let me rephrase that. The bathroom I was supposed to use, we rented an office at a lawyer's office down the block. So my bathroom was about 3 football fields away. So I was expected when I had to pee or other things, which I never did, to lock up my little shack on the parking lot grounds and walk 3 football fields to take a pee. Now, every time I would try to lock up, I would get out the door and people would say, "Oh, I need help with parking. I need you to, to pay you. I need change." So I could never get away. So I would tell my wife, I can't even pee during the day, and I tried everything. I'm like, maybe I don't drink, but in the summertime in the South, you have to drink and stay hydrated or you'll pass out, especially when it isn't climate controlled very well. So I finally had to go and buy these Travel Johns off of Amazon, which was like this bag with an opening on top, and inside was like this little pouch it was almost like a powder to start off with, but once you started peeing in there, you could fit up to 24 ounces. It turned the pee to gel, and then when it was full, it didn't smell or anything. Once it was full, you would take it and throw it away. So it was just comical, because if you think you have stage fright at a urinal, folks, try peeing, trying to find the perfect moment to pee in a booth where you have all these windows where people are passing by, coming in and out of court. People would pop up in your window to pay for parking out of nowhere. So you would have to like check every blind spot you had in every window and door to make sure nobody just pulled in and was coming up to pay you, or nobody was coming out of court that had a question for you. And you'd have to find the exact perfect time to pee before somebody caught you or looked in, or it was a disaster. So, and then people would pull in and say, can I use your bathroom? And I'd be like, what bathroom? Well, in there. I'm like, dude, I'm in an 8x8 shack. Where do you think I have this luxurious bathroom? Yeah, I got a beautiful bathroom in here, and I even have the decorative soaps and towels in here. Come on, folks. So people would do desperate things in the parking lot. Now, they would come up to me and ask me, where is the closest restroom? I would tell them either at the deli around the corner, which opens at 7 a.m., or in the courthouses, which opened at 8. And now if they were there at like 6:30, they were like, well, how am I going to wait till 7 when the deli's open? I'm like, well, what do you want me to tell you? And they would start to pull out their penis right at the window and say, I'm going to pee here. And I would be like, are you out of your mind? It's going to be 90 degrees today. If you pee there now, it's going to stink all day. So one guy ran one day. He took out his penis, and he said he was going to pee, and I started yelling at him, you better not pee out there. So the guy goes running across the street into the other parking lot, creating a trail of piss all the way to the next parking lot, and just relieved himself there, comes back, has pee all over his pant leg, right? And I have a hand sanitizer ready, and I go, stick out your hand, because I'm not taking his credit card or his cash after he has piss all over his hands and his leg. So I pump the hand sanitizer, he cleans his hands, gives me the money, and then goes into his pickup truck and gets a leaf blower that he had back there, a gas-powered one, fires it up and starts drying his pants leg that he just pissed on with the leaf blower. So people all the time, I saw one guy one time eating a piece of cake with one hand, a giant piece of like 7-layer chocolate cake with one hand and pissing in the other. Another guy got out of his car one morning, I don't know if he was mentally ill, screaming, a man in his 40s. The turtle's peeking out. The turtle head's peeking out. I got to shit. The turtle. And everybody going to court's looking at this guy because he's announcing to the world that he's going to shit his pants. So it was a real shit show in that parking lot when it came to using bathrooms because I had no bathroom I didn't even have a bathroom, and I was there for 10 hours a day. I mean, these people expected me to have this fancy bathroom with guest soaps and towels and all that. So I even had a woman one morning. She pulls in with a family, folks. Husband and daughter pull in. Now it's like 20 to 7. She politely asks. Her and her husband come up. Daughter stayed in the car in the back seat. Says, do you have a restroom? I said, no, ma'am. At 7 o'clock, which is 15 minutes from now, the deli opens. They'll let you use the restroom. Or 8 o'clock with the court. She goes, no, 7 will work fine. No problem. So I'm like, okay. She pays for the parking, gets back in the car with her husband. The husband's in the driver's seat now. She's in the passenger seat, and her daughter, probably late teens, early 20s, is sitting in the back seat behind the woman in the passenger seat. So I would look out the different windows from time to time just to see if anybody was pulling in, what was going on out there. So I looked out the door. I had the door to get in and out of the booth, which had a giant glass window. And I look out, and that's where this woman was parked. All of a sudden, I see her door fly open, and this woman pulled her pants down, and all of a sudden I see this ass come out where she has her knees on the front seat of the car, but her ass is facing outward of the car, and it's just past the door frame. And I see this woman start to pee out the door of the car. Husband sitting there, daughter sitting there, and she just pees out the car door. So then she takes I see the daughter handing her Kleenex tissues, and she wipes herself and throws it on the ground. Now, I just cleaned the parking lot. Now you got a puddle of piss cascading down off the morning sunlight, the sun rising, and a river of yellow piss, and her tissue that she just wiped her ass, her privates with. So I open up the door and I go, excuse me, you got to pick that up. She goes, what do you mean I got to pick that up? I'm like, first of all, you told me you were going to wait till I had to go. I said, well, pick up that Kleenex. You can't throw toilet paper out on the parking lot. She goes, it's not toilet paper, it's tissue. I said, lady, once something hits your ass or privates, it's toilet paper. So a gust of wind comes and blows away. She goes, see, it took care of itself. So then she says, go in there and mind your own goddamn business. I go, people pissing in my parking lot is my business. So I go back in, and I figure that's it. So then I see this woman get out of the car, go back around to the trunk. Her daughter gets out, pops the trunk, takes her shirt off. Now she's just in a bra, and now she's cocoa buttering up her arms and chest and neck, and now the daughter's rubbing cocoa butter on her back. Like she's moist. She's doing a morning routine. She just went to the bathroom. Now she's moisturizing and changing her shirt. Then she drops the sweatpants, and now she's in her panties and putting on a skirt to go into court and getting dressed and dolled up. And I'm saying to myself, if I'm there with my wife and my wife tried to pull her pants down and stick her ass out the car door or cocoa butter herself up in the parking lot, I might say something to her like, honey, I don't think this is the right place to be doing that. The husband just sat there, didn't say a word while his wife's ass was hanging out of a car door, pissing, wiping herself, cocoa buttering. I mean, say something, dude. I just don't understand how people function. As a man, you're going to let your wife with a parking attendant standing 10 feet away looking, piss in the parking lot? I just don't understand it. So there were so many more bathroom stories, which I'm not going to bore you with about the parking lot, but you think it's bad with a bathroom, folks? Try having a place without a bathroom with these people that all have to go. And you know how kids grab their privates when they go, I got to go pee-pee. They almost do like a pee-pee dance. You'd be surprised how many adults would grab their genitals to emphasize how bad they had to go when they would come up and say, do you have a bathroom? And they would grab women and men. It wasn't just men. Grab themselves down there to emphasize how bad they really had to go to the bathroom. So I don't know. I just think that you put anything with public, folks, public bathrooms, public pools, I don't want any part of it. So this is why I don't go in the pool here in the summer, the subdivision. You're not telling me that adults and kids aren't pissing in that pool. And I do say adults because you know they're pissing. You know that they're pissing in there. You definitely know the kids are. And I'm not swimming in in a pool full of urine. And you can't tell me those chemicals are taking all that out. And then just the bathrooms, they're just disgusting. These bathrooms are absolutely disgusting. And I don't know how people on a regular basis go in these bathrooms. If you have to pee, I understand. You go, you do your pee, you get the hell out of there, and that's the end of it. But I don't know how these people are going, unless, again, you're very sick or something happens, are just sitting casually at work or at these public restrooms and taking a crap. I mean, you have to see these people at work every day. So let me ask you something, folks. Woman or man, you're in the stall at work. Say you're one of those people that don't care if you poo at work. You have to go. It's part of your morning routine. It's too early when you leave your house to go at home, so you have your coffee and breakfast at work, you work a little bit, and you have to poo every morning, and you're in this routine. Now, if you're in the stall pooing, and you hear someone at the urinal or a woman who just finished in her stall pee and is washing their hands, and you're done now, you flush, do you wait until that person leaves so they don't know it's you in that stall, maybe stinking the place up or making weird noises in there? Or do you just come out all proud that, okay, that was me, I don't care? Or do you wait till they clear and leave? Or do you just come out and no care? Like, how many times in a single occupancy I would wait for someone to come out and I would go in and it would be so bad in there that I couldn't even breathe. I would hold my breath and I would pee. And, of course, when I left, somebody would be waiting and they would the first thought was, like, they're going to think I left that stink in there. So I would look right at them and go, just be warned. It was like that when I got in there. That was not me. And you wonder what these people are eating or if they should see a doctor from some of the smells that they leave behind. But are you, like, ashamed at work? Because it's not like if you stopped at a gas station like that guy, passing the basketball, whatever the fuck he was doing the other day. You'll never see these people again. You're on the road. Who gives a shit, right? But you're in the office every day with these people. Now, if you're leaving a stink or leaving groans and grumbles in the stall, making noises, are you embarrassed, around people you have to see every day? Because you see these people as much as, if not more than you see your family. So are you embarrassed to go at work? Or do you do it very discreetly? Or I want to know. I'm going to put a poll up of how many people go at work or in public. Because, again, unless I'm dying, folks, I'm not going anywhere near a public restroom, especially for number 2. Peeing. As much pressure as it is at a urinal, especially at a baseball game, I can deal with it, but as far as going number 2 in a public restroom, there's so many reasons I won't, which I've listed most of them today. So that was our theme for the day, trivial tales from the toilet, and we want to hear yours. What do you want to hear I remember when we talked about the ass blower, a woman with her ass and the hand blower, bare ass and the hand blower, we asked you what was your worst, disaster public restroom story. But what about at your work? Are there people that are in there for long periods of time reading and hanging out, going to the bathroom every day? We're going to put up a poll, put up a question, and we want to hear your input on our Facebook page. But I want to thank everybody because, like I said a few minutes ago, over 2,000 listens last week. I mean, I remember when we were getting 20 listens when we first started out. Then 100 was a big deal. Then when we hit 500, 2,000 now, and it continues to grow by 100, 200, 300 every week. All the guests that we've had on, great job, and I know you helped build this. And you guys are just great, coming back every week. And again, you can go to any podcast, but if you're tired of talking about the government shutdown, politics, if you really want to talk about shit, just malarkey, Irish for bullshit, this is the place. And you saw it today. We talked about toilets. Now, an hour worth of toilet talk. I mean, you can't get that anywhere else, folks. But yeah, there are so many places to get entertainment for driving into work and going, on the gym. And you come here every week for an hour, and the audience is growing. So I can't thank you enough. For those who are just joining us, new listeners, which I'm sure we're going to have again this week, where are we available? iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, CastBox, Radio Public, and we also have our audio on YouTube every week. And our preview videos are we usually do a preview video on Monday morning on our Facebook page as to what the topic's going to be, whether we're going to have a guest or not that particular week. So if you want a little preview ahead of time before the show actually posts on Monday or Tuesday, you can go to our Facebook page, and that's where pretty much everything is. The voting for the mutant of the week, for interactive questions about the show and things like that. If you want to email me for any reason, you think of a good topic you want us to cover, a bunch of malarkey podshow at gmail.com, a bunch of malarkey podshow at gmail.com. Love to get your emails, or you can just message us on the A Bunch of Malarkey Facebook page, tweet us. Is that how you say? Tweet us? Yeah, I guess you could call it. I still don't know all these different things. But those are the ways to get in touch. And if you have an idea, again, I'm open to ideas. If there's some topic that you want us to cover, let us know. A fan favorite should be back next week. I believe we're going to have Jen back in the studio. She, I know, she went away for Christmas and all that, and she mentioned that. So I gave her a few weeks to get back and get settled after and get back in a routine. But we spoke via text this weekend, and I believe she's going to be back next week. So we're probably going to have a Tuesday show next week, a later Tuesday show. I've been doing Mondays the last few weeks just to get you guys an extra day, but probably going to be Tuesday next week. But I will have more information as I get it. So. Hopefully we won't have snow this week, folks. Super Bowl Sunday is coming up. If you're a Rams fan, a Patriots fan, if you just hate one of the two teams, or if you don't give a crap, game is going to be on Sunday. Hopefully wish us luck here in Atlanta with the snow, and wish us luck with getting everybody in and out safely. And really, thank you all for tuning in, for your interaction, for your voting, for everything you do to make this show as much fun as it is. And I definitely have fun with it every week. So, folks, as I always say, and this week, really, seriously, was it not? Beware. It's a shit show out there. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been A Bunch of Malarkey. Take care, everybody.